Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and a new Cities Skylines series where we are here in the Coral Riches map. Now, I do like this map. I've done some testing on it and I think we've got it pretty well set up and good to go. There's a lot of different things to enjoy about it. One, you got to ride along the little river basin or little river inlet to where we could put a port here, and it goes actually out to either ways. And we are going to look to put probably an industrial port somewhere right around in here, and maybe an individual port right around in this section coming off this corner. Something of that sense. That's kind of where we're at right now, but we're going to see how everything kind of shapes out here with the city. And this is really going to be kind of a county build, and I say because look at the size of this place. And I think with where it goes off all the way to these edges, it allows us to truly, we're going to start out here with a smaller city here. And one of the main things, let me show you the resources, is all the different natural resources that this land has, right? So this is going to be a small city town type setup in which we will be able to have some farms here. Our industrial section is probably going to start off over in this area, mainly because we do have the stuff to get the like metal ore out, coal we can get from here. Yeah, massive oil deposits kind of spread throughout on this side, which I think we can take advantage of and really kind of build something solid as far as like an industrial type of area. But I think we're going to kind of make this main portion, the starting point, is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a smaller city. I would really imagine downtown being somewhere, or a bigger city area being right over here. I don't think this one's going to have a whole lot of the skyscraper setups. We're probably going to try to limit the size of the buildings in reality. So if I'm thinking of the sizing of the initial city, it won't let me look at that just yet, but we'll probably bring it out at least one more box to cover this little first city limit. Over here, I am going to put in, we are going to have a little farming community. A little farming, this thing is massive. We can put in a massive farming community on this side. Bigger, densely populated areas, I would actually probably put right around here, give or take. That's the idea, at least to start, but we got to see how things grow out, and because that's going to be the normal. Look to see how things grow, and then we'll deal with kind of where we're going to truly put it. But I do plan on having the heavy or densely populated area right around in this little tree section, grass section, or forest area. There is also a lot of forest industry we can set up on this map as well, so I'm not too worried about that. Now, I do have unlimited money on, mainly just because I wanted to be able to actually work a little bit slower, not have to worry about the economy so much. We will budget it out. I promise you, we will get it to a solid budget. But I think to start, I would rather just be a little bit more creative with making each one of these little cities and neighborhoods kind of look nice to where they all come together in one massive little metroplex area in the center. And I think going with the no money really helps work that out, but we will still obviously have access to everything to be able to actually balance the budget out. So I will take that into account. It's just I don't want to have to worry about it while building. So that's kind of my thought on that. So first, let's go ahead and get into how we're going to get this first city starting to go. So what I want to do real quick is, let me just put in a little node right there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of that. Just makes it a little bit easier. I don't like having that such a long runway. Now I am going to look at the resources while I drive, because I do know there is that farmland there. And normally I would say I'm going to probably start going, I'm going to go a little bit sharper. I'll probably come this way with it. But first, I wanted to get this going out 180. And then, so if I go here to about 135, and then just 180 from this point, it does provide a we get a little close to it, but I think that's actually gonna be doable. That should actually work out pretty well. So let me go ahead and lay that road down. Okay, so we got that one in. Now over here, the industry is going to lead off to this portion, and just for pure traffic control, I'm going to put this one road, which is going to lead primarily to industry, and then it will eventually connect around with a little looping, massive looping road we do plan to put in. But for right now, I'm just going to have this thing kind of going off for the industry, which will limit the traffic going into the actual city portion of it, and where the population is. And it kind of helps out with that traffic control, because you won't have so many big trucks and all that stuff there coming at you, basically. So that's kind of what we're looking at for this one. So let me go ahead and put that in. And I know it's going to cut through this forestry industry real quick, and that's, I'm actually okay with that. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about forestry right now. There's plenty of it to get to, okay? So I want to go ahead and quickly just look at the electricity and kind of decide where we're going to go with it. I think to start, a township isn't going to have its own power plant built immediately. That's just not going to happen. So we are going to, let's go ahead and just put in one of these little substation things, transformer stations. I'm going to try to get it just lined up beautifully right there on the edge. Alright, that works. Now let me just make sure my road still fits. Not a 4-lane road, I just want a 2-lane, and it does. Alright, so we're going to build just quickly around this. That sets all that up. Alright, so that's where our power is going to come in. We'll get that connected up. I am going to put in a grid here for some basic industry stuff, and then the downtown area is going to start right about here, give or take. Maybe I might start it up here, but probably around this little node break is where I'll start that at. And eventually I am going to run a 4-lane road along the coast here. This is going to be primarily just like a walking area right along the water, but I am going to, if you see the contour lines, we have this little upper section. I'm going to run it right here. This isn't going to be heavy, densely populated area along this side. It's going to be fairly, I'm not going to say, it's going to be the low density stuff at most. But we're going to see how this kind of plays out. Like I said, I want to let the city still develop. So that's why we're still starting on zero founding. I just kept putting unlimited money because that's how, like I said, that's how I like to play it. So, it's one of those, it is what it is kind of situations. Yeah, that's what we are going to be working with as far as starting out looking at little road planning. The water, I do want to go ahead and put in a water tower to start drawing in the water. There is a natural resource of it right here, so technically I could put in one of these ground pumping stations, but I don't know, I might do that a little later on. I just want to make sure, I just want to give it that smaller town feel. Now you have a couple different water towers. Obviously I think this is a base in-game one right here. And it's decently sized. I just am not a fan of how it actually looks coming in. In reality, I think the New England one or Northeast one is the better looking water tower. If you were to drive into a smaller town, so I am going to go with this one. Let's go ahead and actually, yeah, let's place it right there. Okay, so we have that put in. Now, we need a little poo exit, and just based on water flow, I'm going to go ahead and drop this off over here. Eventually, we are going to upgrade our sewage stuff to where we have a water treatment plant. We won't have to worry about this, but it's just one of those, hey, it is what it is for now. We'll grow and develop from this and all that, so. I just want to get that connected underground. That's just pretty simple in how it would be. So let's go ahead and get ready to do some mapping of the city. We're gonna jump into a time lapse portion as we get the main city layout done, and yeah, we'll go from there. So I will see y'all here in a little bit. right, so we did hit our first little milestone here. Gave us what, one development point, and it classifies us now as a tiny village. So normally I don't mind saving these up, but one thing I always like to do with them is I do prefer my first ones to go with to be the where's the development stuff at? There it is. Normally I look to get advanced road services, but I think we're going to wait to kind of see how this stuff starts to shape out, so that way I can eventually remove a couple stoplights from the middle of town and stuff like that, so we can kind of limit the traffic flow, right? And that's kind of what one of our main goals is going to be. Now with it, we do get two different things to come along. We get the landfill and we get the medical center along with a cemetery. Now there are going to be crematoriums that are available, but I think if we look at that, crematorium is going to be, oh, it is only the one. So let me take a look here, because I think if you look at it's $27,500 a month in upkeep. Crematorium is only $22,500. Processing capacity 100 monthly. Just storage is 5,000. Okay. Normally, I'm not gonna lie, normally I don't go for the crematorium. I kind of like how you do have this. I normally do kind of like how you get the little cemetery going, and basically makes it its own little parkland. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna go with the cemetery actually. This is going to be some more development coming up right here. Like I said, a lot of the low density that I've put in here, we are going to spread that out since we have the need for row homes, right? So we've got the row homes unlocked right here. So we've got those available. And I think if we start putting some row homes in here, then we can look to kind of spread things out with the low density, because one thing I want, as we saw before, this is a very rich farming land. Put in a couple farms with some smaller neighborhoods kind of throughout around the farms, and that'll kind of help handle a lot of that low density demand that we're going to have once we do remove those. But first, let me go and just put in this crematorium, or not crematorium, but cemetery. I'm going to put the cemetery in there. Now, normally I wouldn't build a road behind it, but this is such a massive property that I have a feeling eventually these are going to be kind of a row home setup. So if I do that, I can come all the way across to there, and that'll give me one small little segment, which I might actually go ahead. Let me just pop in some commercial. That way I don't have to worry about homes or anything like that. It kind of does put a little commercial district right in there. But this we're going to set up to be our own little park segment here in a second. And then need to put in a medical office, right? So normally there's a couple different ones. You go small medical clinic, the Southwest Medical Clinic. You have all these other ones, France, Northeast, which I've never actually looked at that one. It's not a half-assed bad looking one. It's just kind of tall. I do normally like just this base in-game medical facility that they give us, right? I think it holds its purpose. It works pretty well. It has good capacity. And if we're looking at it, $20,000 to $78,000 a month. The small medical clinic is the only one that's smaller, but its patient capacity is at 25, right? So I don't want to go completely outrageous like that. Now the New England one, patient capacity is at 230, so we're talking the same upkeep, same price. It is just going to be bigger. But this is a smaller type city right now. It's not going to be a main kind of like hub for large residential population. Now, because we don't have to deal with money, that's the one fortunate thing, is it will allow us to go ahead and put these upgrades on the buildings, which I think just in the long run, eventually you are going to need them. And that did not come off at 90 degrees. I gotta fix that real quick. Hold up. Hold up. We've got to fix this. Alright, so let me come off a straight 90. We come to about here. And just drive that straight in. Okay, that actually looks a whole hell of a lot better. And then since I got this medical clinic in, I'm going to go ahead and close off the backside. Eventually, I do want to probably put a parking lot there. I'm not exactly sure. We may make this its own little like walkable kind of park facility section. But eventually, we are going to get parking lots and we will have to put them in at some point, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into starting to get the medium density row homes set up. So a lot of what you see here as this residential stuff, low density, is about to be just wiped clean. So, you know, it's one of those it is what it is kind of situations. We will deal with it as we go along. And that's just the way the world works sometimes, you know. So, alright, let's hop into it. I will check back in with y'all here in just a minute as hopefully we approach milestone 2. There we go. We got up to milestone 2, which is small village, which gives us a lot of the medium density, I guess more apartment housing, right? So it gives us the medium density apartment complexes, gives us some additional farming, and as along with education as well. So what we are going to do is get ready to put in some of that education. Now, the question is, where are we going to put it in, right? So I don't obviously want it to be in, this is really the main downtown square, but this is pretty much going to be the whole, end up being the whole real downtown kind of area, right? So we're going to have another neighborhood pop up on this side, as I just want to keep it a little bit away from the, from the industrial area. But we're going to see how that kind of works out, because I'm not going to place it right now. I think we're going to wait till the next episode and get that placed. But then we are going to also look at our farming situation. We kind of got this mapped out a little bit. So there's a ton of the land, obviously. But what we really have is, if you look at this portion of it, we got essentially these 3 that require the fertile land. The livestock doesn't. Now, part of me says, well, this can cover a huge whole massive area, so I could put one grain farm in this corner right here, and then you're talking vegetable there, cotton here, and then in reality I'd probably do livestock over here. But it's going to be kind of one of those, let's see how this shapes out. Now, this road I know is incredibly wonky. It came off 90 degrees from this side, which is at a slight angle from this road. So it doesn't really look all that proper as far as being uniform, but I don't really mind it. I think it's perfectly fine. Sometimes things aren't always going to line up. Things aren't always going to match up. That's just kind of the way of the world in this one. So that's what we're going to be kind of looking at here. We're starting to see not a whole lack of labor, but that's all right. Things like that do happen, or especially early on as people are getting moved in. So what we're going to do is kind of take off and leave it here in this episode, as we've got a lot of the medium density stuff coming in. The row homes, I'm going to try to finish out getting row homes all in this portion. I don't want to have apartments here. I want this to stay kind of limited in the size that we do. As we start putting neighborhoods around here and even back in this section, and get ready to kind of expand stuff out, then yeah, we're gonna start looking at putting in the apartment complexes. As far as these tiles, we do have 7 of them, and I'm not going to use them right now just because I don't think we really need to. But what I'm looking at probably going is one more along each side here, which is really going to be kind of the city limit, right? So if we do just one more section, that's our city limit. We will have oil and stuff going out outside of the city limit, so be it. But I think that doing this size of a starting little initial small town is going to be perfect. And then we'll kind of run this main road pointed pretty much this direction. We'll run it out that way and kind of get everything set up so we can put in a big metropolitan area here. Then we'll worry about getting our little farming community. We've got a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff going on here that we're looking at, a lot of future development plans. I do, just like I said, want to see kind of how this city does continue to grow. And then in the next episode, we'll get our schools put in. And I think we should have police and fire coming on pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how this city ends up shaping out once we kind of get it nice and developed, at least for a smaller city, right? So that's going to be the main goal here. Guys, put name suggestions you have for this first little city in the comments, and we will see what we can do about getting this whole first little city area named and start kind of go from there. If you'd like, you can also offer names for streets. We will I'll start getting those labeled off for you. And why the hell is Dale Street? Oh my god. We'll start getting some street names put in and everything like that. So definitely put it all down in the comments, and I will see y'all in the next episode, everybody. So as always, stay safe, and well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Yep. Later, y'all.
Do you remember your childhood? When your dad took you out for your first cone of ice? I guess you can almost feel the waffle in your hand and the cold, sweet, creamy taste in your mouth. You know what? I bet it was Morello's. Morello's Cookadoe Ice Cream, creator of childhood memories.
This is Nan, hip hop gran. You listening to the smooth beat.